Probably going to be a short one this week, as I just have Lupin slash Patranger to recap, as Build went on hiatus due to, well, golf. By this point, we should all know that this happens pretty regularly with the current schedule. Just less so this year than previous ones where they've had the preemption. It's just that it's really irritating because they were in the middle of the end story arc for the series, so definitely bad timing there. Before I get to recapping, a bunch of my videos have been hit by Toei copyright claiming them, most particularly the Blade reviews. If you've been watching those or hadn't watched those yet and wondering what happened to them, yeah, I should have them all up or all back. I should have them all back up or in the process of getting them back up by the time this video releases on YouTube, so there we go. There they are back. Meanwhile, Lupin this week focuses on Noel and Umika infiltrating a black market auction for a piece of the Lupin collection. Immediately, this seems strange to me, as it would figure that all of the Lupin collection pieces that would have been on the black market or similar places, like outside of the Gongler's hands, would have already been reobtained by Kogure or the other members of the Lupin family's crime network, and this includes the Lupin Ranger themselves, even though, as I've said before, they are just specialized and specially hired collection agents with regards to their role in retrieving the collection pieces. Umika is selected to accompany Noel to this simply because, you expect a guy going to one of these auctions to be accompanied by a date if he is bringing anyone else along. You rarely think it's going to be another guy that goes with him. In fact, I'm kind of surprised that he didn't ask Tsukasa to also accompany him, just simply for all the humor that would come from that and the playing off of the two teams that would result. But this is basically just a Lupin Ranger episode with a cameo guest appearance by the Patranger in a way where the Patranger don't actively antagonize or accost the Lupin Ranger. So basically it's going back to the bit where the Patranger have no real significant role in the show, which, okay, it's still a good episode, but it's still irritating that after finally seeming to bring the teams together and getting rid of this discourse that has so damaged the representation of the show, and I say this because sales numbers released for Lupin Ranger versus Patranger, and yeah, they are again down from previous years. So it's continuing that slide that's been present since Tokuger, that Zyuohger was the only bump against. But regardless of that, yeah, it's continuing some things that I don't think are good merits to the series, and Kogure himself saying that the Lupin Ranger and Patranger should not collaborate to defeat the Gongler. They should all just do their own things instead of how it's been shown that both sides need each other repeatedly throughout this entire conflict, and neither will get the goals they want without the other. It's asinine to continue to force this divide. On the other hand, this fits with Kogure in that he's the mysterious benefactor who we don't really know the agenda of. For all we know, it could turn out that he's actually, See, I left my phone in the other room, so I can't even go and check the names. The crime boss of the Gongler who's trying to retire. For all we know, it could turn out that Kogure is actually that guy, and he's using the Lupin Ranger to recollect the Lupin collection while his minions are unawares that they're being eliminated. But I seriously doubt that's the direction they're going to go with this. Though, it would be a credit to my ability to, suss out the greater narrative of a story from the most minute of details, which I keep doing. And, it's like my roommates have been noticing me do this more and more with high accuracy, where I can guess completely where a plot is going, simply because I've seen such a large variety of things that I know the story tropes. Case in point, again, back to Kyuranger, one of the reasons I thought its storytelling was so awful, because I had literally seen every single story it did, and knew how, and I could simply ask, what is the easiest way that they could screw this up? And that is what Kyuranger ended up doing every single time when I went back and actually watched more of the show after people kept telling me to. Like, I mentioned this before, that I straight up guessed the Karasu reveal not long after I saw the episode with Ho-Oh Soldier's backstory, and I'm forgetting the guy's name off the top of my head. I really don't care about Kyuranger anymore. Care about caring about Kyuranger anymore, but yeah, I guessed the whole Karasu betrayal thing, because there's only 2 ways that Japanese writers even use that damn thing. And yeah, the betrayal one is the more common one, so aware of Japanese lore, you saw that coming straight, and it wasn't out of the blue. But that's off topic. I kind of bring that up because in this case, with the second the black market auction plot came up, I thought to myself, and I said to my roommates, the auctioneer is the actual gangler. Turns out the auctioneer was the actual gangler, and his whole scheme was to put his Lupin collection piece up on auction, get someone to buy it, then steal it back for himself immediately after the auction concludes, so after the gavel rings, the rules of the auction house means that even if the item was stolen, it counted as being officially owned by the person who bought it, so they had to pay up. It was an actual money scheme, and as I've seen that played out in crop dramas, general crime dramas, thief capers before, yeah, this episode as well is stock, but it is nonetheless well presented in that, despite me guessing the entire plot of it from the setup details, it is smart in how it goes about doing all of this, in that even though the Lupin collection piece is stolen, Noel and Umika sketch out members of the audience to recollect them back in hopes, as Noel fakes that he has another thing to sell himself, which the gangler in turn, in his greed, tries to set up to steal that as well, and the money from the auction as in and of itself, since, he would also get money from, say, hosting the auction like he would. So that's actually end up how they get back the gangler's identity, or figure out the gangler's identity, expose him, and get the collection piece, while also, in addition, for the Patranger, putting all of the black market auctioneers in a... not auctioneers, auctioners? The people who showed up in an auction to potentially buy what was being sold. All the people at the black market auction were also a variety of criminals that the Patranger were in the middle of a case of to find and arrest them for their own variety of illegal crimes. So they said, Noel in one move set up the gangler to be exposed and his Lupin collection piece taken, and these other people to be brought into custody. So it's a win-win situation for both the Lupin Ranger and the Patranger, in a situation which basically should appease them, because they get all the credit for taking down this lesser crime ring, and, not interfere with thing. Unfortunately, the end of the episode shows that, yeah, the Patranger are not buying it, and they don't just want the credit, they actually want to do something towards the arrest of these criminals, like take them down themselves. And while that is not unfair, they have constantly gone about conducting themselves in a ways that shows that they can't really achieve that on their own due to simply how they alienate the possibility of that. Keiichiro showed himself as too much of a absolute justice dumbass. Tsukasa, while competent, is limited by her peers, and Sakia simply is just too inexperienced and goes with the flow. Tsukasa's other big flaw being that she follows Keiichiro's lead instead of taking charge herself, which she really needs to do to get the Patranger in a more respectable position and not in the slump of frustration that they constantly get stuck in. But again, not exactly here nor there on that. otherwise, the fight scene is pretty short and just a showcasing of the various artifacts in here. Um, the artifacts that the Lupin Ranger have collected, you know, various mode changes and whatnot. Another good detail I thought about that I really enjoyed about this is Umika realizing how much money was actually in play at the auction. Like, first she sees that the starting bid price is $400,000, and of course she thinks that's in yen, and 40,000. Sorry, excuse me, I misspoke. It's been one of those days. She initially thought it was 400,000 yen and not $400,000. Now, the conversion rate for yen to dollars is 100 yen equals $1. There's a bit of variation in that due to the global economics exchanges, but it's almost always 1 cent equals 1 yen. Like I said, sometimes it's at a 9.9 rate, sometimes it's at a 1.1 rate in the exchange, but usually, if you even allow, that's how the exchange rates for it average out to. So first she's thinking, oh, this isn't bad. I earned this in a couple months, and then she realized it's about 100 times what the actual value of what she thought it was as a starting bid. And I was chuckling at that simply because, like, people don't really get often that it's about an even exchange rate. It's like they don't realize that so often. Some translators for Japanese series, when they refer to yen, have to like pull the conversion metrics. And what annoys me kind of about this is a bunch of anime dubs. They just screw with the numbers entirely. They don't just do the convert it to move the decimal place just 2 points to convert it to dollars. No, they do these completely erratic and insane monetary conversions. Like, the berries in One Piece seem like it's an insane value for things, for an insane cost for cheap things, and it's like, no, people, the money just doesn't work. It's not equating to dollars, it's equating to a different value entirely. Or, an example, Matt Pats, when he did a recent video on Poké Dollars in the Pokemon thing, didn't realize that that inflation effects. Like, there's a lot of monetary conversion stuff that doesn't always equate straight how you think it is. So, in show for Lupac to make the joke at other people's expense as well, that works very well, simply for telling how huge the monetary sums for black market auctions can actually go. And in fact, this was kind of a low buy-in for the Lupin Collection Artifact 2. Noel finally purchased it for $2 million! Yes, I had to do the Dr. Evil thing, and Umika was freaking out that it cost that much to get them that one artifact, and I'm like, do you not know how high these stolen artifact costs go? I'm like, okay, $2 million is probably what it cost to produce the Lupin Ranger's recent summer film, but in the wide market of black market auctions, like, $2 million is a drop in the bucket, almost. So, it's like, it feels like the show kind of lowballed it, but it makes the joke even more hilarious in response to that awareness as well, as $2 million is a small sum, but Umika's freaking out because it seems like such a huge number, and it seems like they undersold what the collection piece was worth even then, and her continuing to freak out about it when to Kogori that's a small amount, to Noel that's a small amount, to the other Lupin Ranger that seems like a small amount, $2 million, 200 million yen. It's like, it makes it all the funnier that with her reaction both in and out of universe. And I felt it really worked for how her character had been depicted. Granted, she hasn't been the most stingy, but considering her origins as a teenage schoolgirl, just like middle high school, not graduated high school, I feel that works better as as part of Umika's arc, she doesn't have a grand perspective of the world yet. She's like, she never started as a dumbass teenager. She just didn't see the bigger picture, and this is some of her own exposure to how much money is just tossed around for trinkets in the world. So I like that she helped to get that perspective beyond what she herself has been limited to. Because she comes off as a bit of a, she didn't exactly come off as a penny pincher, just like someone who saves money a lot, and that value being vastly beyond what she's put into her own bank account. But it worked for her. It worked for Noel in the interplay with her, because I'm betting he had to work with a lot larger numbers, considering he's an engineer, and engineers repairing, maintaining, or constructing anything, yeah, that can cost a lot. My dad's an engineer. He's cited some of the figures of the values of the things that have been built off his blueprints, and it's like, it is a large amount to actually construct things. So I could see Noel having to work with those figures before. Tuma as well, considering he's a fine dining chef. Kairi, I could think, would just shrug that off, considering that's the kind of guy he comes off as. So yeah, this definitely seemed like Umika was the right fit for this situation in being Noel's confidant in this whole scheme. Overall, good episode. Not exactly the best follow-up to the team-up, as it's resetting the status quo, but it's moving the things along in a decent filler episode that is addressing a different parts of the thief, black markets, gangster, stolen items game that I don't want to say that Sentai's never done before, because I can remember a few episodes with similar plots to it. Case in point, Kyoryuger doing the target game Gambit to get one of the artifact stones from their series, but it fit well with the story engine they've been working, and at the end of the day, some more of that's really what they need to, I don't want to say focus on exclusively, but have showcased in rotation for such a series with a cops and robbers dynamic to them. And I know a few Lupin stories have even been based around that kind of tale, including the 2014 movie, and there were a lot of problems with the 2014 movie, but that part of it was not one of the problems to it. So yeah, I'm talking circles, so again, good episode. We'll be back with Build next week as it nears its conclusion, and also with a Loophead episode with Tuma and Sakuya taking a aerobics dance class. I feel like this is going to be, that's going to be an episode where I end up saying, what a lot. Regardless, I will see you all later.